G'day, this is Charlie, and I'm coming to you today from my locals community with your daily dose of business inspiration. Come on over and join me at askcharlieleetham.locals.com. You can join the community for free. You can become a supporter to gain access to supporter-only content. Add comments to the conversations, create your own conversations, and you'll also be helping me to keep creating content like this, like my podcasts, and like my tutorials. Let's get on with today's topic, though. Topic number 174, the art of negotiation. I love this topic. And I love this topic because some people, well, gotta be careful how I say it, don't I? There is a vision out there somewhere, and some people have it, that negotiation is about me beating you and getting what I want. And I don't think that's correct. I think negotiation is about finding a solution where all parties, I was going to say both parties, but negotiation can be between multiple parties, more than two parties, where all parties gain something from it. There's certainly some old texts and old stuff that I used to read about, negotiation is about winning and beating everyone and all the rest of it. But I don't agree with it. I think it's about everyone getting something of value out of a situation. It doesn't mean that everyone gets exactly what they want, unfortunately, because sometimes that's not achievable. But it does mean that we all get something valuable out of it. So let's have a talk about, first of all, what negotiation is. It's a strategic discussion aimed at reaching an agreement that satisfies the interests of all parties involved, which is what I just said. It's important to understand this because effective negotiation leads to better deals, stronger relationships, and more successful outcomes. Now, out of all of those three things that I just said there, better deals, stronger relationships, successful outcomes, I actually put a pretty high value, this is me personally, I put a pretty high value on stronger relationships. The successful outcomes are great and they will come, but they will come if I have a strong relationship with my business partners, with my subcontractors, with my providers. So that's really important for us to remember. The question is, how do we negotiate effectively and successfully? How do we organize all this? Is it actually possible to do? How many of you are actually feel like you're really good negotiators? I don't think I'm a great negotiator, by the way. It's one of the strengths or one of the weaknesses that I have. It's a strength that I'm trying to build. It's a muscle I'm trying to build within my business. But let's talk about some of the strategies for effective negotiation. First of all, you need to gather all the necessary information, understand your objectives, and try to anticipate the other party's needs and goals. So I'm going to talk about me offering my services to a client. I know what my business objectives is. I need a certain amount of income to be able to live. That's the first thing. I want to be able to develop a long-term client out of it. And it would be great if I ended up with a reference and a reference site from it. There's just three things that I can say are my objectives. There's probably more than that. Well, there are more than that, but let's work on those three. But when I'm looking at the other party, I'm going to be looking at what do they need? What do I think they're going to need out of it? And there's a couple of universal truths I think I could add or just apply to it. If I'm offering my services in developing a website, for example, one of the things that the client is going to want is value for money. Now, I can't say what exactly value for money for them is, but what I need to do as part of my negotiation is to actually find that out. I can do a little bit of investigation, absolutely. I can prepare, absolutely. But I can, as part of the conversation, say, why don't you tell me about your business? Why don't you tell me what your ROI is, your return on investment? Why don't you tell me about what it is you need to achieve out of your website so that I can come back to you with a solution and a price that will work for you? Does that make sense? It's about being prepared and be understanding that there are questions that I'm going to have to ask in order to make this work for all of us, for all the parties involved. Communicate is the next part of it. There's so many things here that I keep repeating in each of my inspirations. Communication is a big one. You've got to be able to communicate your points clearly. You need to be able to listen actively. Remember what I've said: 2 ears, 2 eyes, 1 mouth. Use them in that ratio, please. Listen actively to understand the other party's perspective. I've got a story that goes along with this actually. And you really need to aim for a win-win. Now, a win-win isn't you get everything you want, okay? Often you're not going to get everything you want. You might just strike it out and get exactly what you want. But you need to be able to compromise to a point where you're still going to meet the objectives that you have, and you're going to help your partner and your the other parties meet their objectives as well. So let's talk about reaching some mutually beneficial agreements. And then I'm going to tell you a story from my young sales days, my young person sales days. You need to be willing to adapt to find creative solutions. So that's part of the win-win approach. It's part of working out how you can do this and all parties get what they want out of it. You need to be able to build rapport. So you've got to be able to establish a positive relationship and get that trust and cooperation as part of it. If you are in a negotiation that has animosity, that I can't think of the word that I was trying to use there, but animosity is part of it, this is not going to be a great deal. This is not going to be a great deal for any of the parties, and it's not going to leave a good taste in anyone's mouth. Once you reach the agreement, you need to actually close the deal. And I know people are going to, oh, we hate that term. But you do. You need to close it down. You need to actually say, right, you need to summarize what you've agreed. You need to clarify any remaining details, and you need to confirm that all parties are committed to what you've just spoken about. So let me give you a story about where I came across, like, where I really had a clear instance of negotiation being this type of approach. I was a young salesperson. I was, I don't know, 24, 25. Yeah, I was around that. I might have been 26. I wasn't very old. I'd been working for 10 years by that point. I'd been as a tech, then come through as a pre-salesperson, internal sales, and then I was put onto a sales team as a junior account manager, a jam, basically. Uh, and I had proven my worth to my boss at that point. We had just done a really big tender, which is a proposal for a really big deal. And I'm talking $60 million over 5 years deal. This is back in the 90s. So it's a fairly big deal for a small company. And I had put together the entire maintenance package. I had put together the entire support package, and basically the design as well. And I hadn't put the design together, but it had been my team that had put the design together, and I had understood it so that we could actually write it up. My boss said to me, I need you to negotiate this contract with this guy. And I'm like, I don't want to. This guy this guy who I was going to sit across the table from is known to eat people alive in his negotiations. He was known in our industry for being a hard negotiator. He was one of the guys who walked into a very big client. This is his legend. Had walked into a very big client after winning and delivering a project. They had been at 95 days overdue on their account. And he said, look, you need to pay your bill. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're getting to it. This is a really big client. Oh, yeah, we're getting to it. We'll get it paid. And he said, no, you're at 95 days. This needs to be paid today. And I need confirmation that you're going to pay it today. Oh, yeah, we're getting there. He said, okay. And he rang his operations team and he said, shut it down. Yeah, he was that type of guy. He absolutely firm and strong, and he was prepared to weather the outcomes of all of that. So this is the legend that had been built up around this guy. There were other stories. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. Please don't. No, you've got to do it. I'll be there with you, but you need to negotiate this because you understand it. You understand the things that you're saying. And if I was to try to do it, it's just going to take too long. I'm like, okay. So sitting there, I've got my contract in front of me. I've got my notes on my contract. I'm there. He's sitting across the table from me. I said, okay, so this clause here, we need it reworded. Sorry, we'd like to see this reworded this way. I didn't say we need it. We'd like to see it reworded this way because of these reasons. And he said, I don't understand. I said, well, here's what it is. And I explained it out. He goes, okay, yep, you can have that. And I went, huh? It's okay. So now this is the guy who eats other salespeople, eats other contract managers alive, basically. Sitting across the table from me, he said, and the next time you negotiate and the next time you ask me something, say it like this. This is how you present it. He sat across the table from me in through this entire negotiation, and I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of pages of contract. And he sat across the table from me throughout all of that negotiation, and he coached me. And it was there that I worked out that the legend that he had built up, and it was a legend, and he really was that hard, and he really was that great a negotiator. But when you dealt with him fairly and you could lay out the win-win situation, why it was good for his company and why it was good for our company that we do it this way, he was more than prepared to play ball. He was more than prepared. And he had this young salesperson sitting across the table from him who was showing ability, and he coached me. Absolutely fantastic. Now, that's the art of negotiation, though, is that, sorry, it's not exactly a great story that says this is why the negotiation went so well. Well, it is because it shows that because I was prepared to be honest, because I was prepared to say, this is why it's good for our business, but this is why it's also good for your business that we do it this way. He was prepared to go that extra step and help me get a contract that worked for both of us. How do you guys feel about negotiating things when someone comes to you and says, "Oh, okay." So the first thing that we normally get is, "Oh, is there any movement on the price? Can we do better on the price?" How do you guys feel about it? What is your approach to it? How do you deal with it? What do you say if someone comes back and says, "Can we change this line in your contract because of these reasons?" How do you approach that? Do you like negotiating? Would you prefer that you just ran a mile or walked over cut glass in bare feet, broken glass in bare feet, rather than do a negotiation on a contract? Why don't you let me know? Come across to Locals, askcharlyleetham.locals.com. You can join the conversation, become a supporter, and join in the conversation. Tell me what you think, add your thoughts. Let me know if you think I'm talking rubbish. I would love to have a conversation about this. Also, please remember to like this video, subscribe to my channel, ring the notification bell so you find out when I drop more content. If you can, please leave a review somewhere on one of the podcast platforms of your choice to let people know what you think of it. It does help people decide if they want to listen to more of me or to me at all, and maybe share this content with someone who might benefit from it today. Apart from that, guys, I will see you all tomorrow for topic number 175, attitude or abilities. Hope you like that one. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.